Hello, this is Annie. I recently got a request to do a follow-up video on the lot bin renovation video I did a while ago when I renovated 3 lot bin houses for Pleasantview. So the request included 2 houses in the lot bin from base game, and those were Bonnie Bungalow, which is the one that I'm working on right now, and the other one was Tidy Tutor, that's coming up. But since I did 3 houses last time I did this, I figured that I could do it again. So I actually posted a poll on my community tab. You might have already seen it and voted on it even. And if you did, thank you so much for voting. The winning house became Modern Masterpiece. So that's the one that we're gonna finish up with. And just like the last time I did this, I also wanted to put this up for download. So if you would like to have them after this, then go to the comment box under the video and you can find the links to all of the downloads there. So I did place these down in Pleasantview when I was building them, and I figured that I'm gonna use them for Pleasantview also after this is done. The main reason for doing that was that I feel like when I place houses down in a certain neighborhood, that neighborhood sort of colors how I decide to model the house, and gives it a certain flavor. And I wanted these houses to feel pretty much Pleasantview. And I think that if I would have placed them down in Strangetown, for example, they would have looked very different at the end. And I wanted to keep the integrity of the houses pretty much the same as it was from the start. This house is actually one that I've already placed down and renovated previous to this. The houses that you see to the right now of this is actually the same house, but their renovations look pretty different from this one. Something that I did with this house that I sort of failed with when I renovated this the last time was that I actually put in the garage at the correct spacing from the road, so that the car actually pulls in and parks and everything looks correct. With the houses that I've already renovated to the right, it's actually a bit further at the front, so the car just teleports in. So that's something that I prefer to have it actually visible when they drive in and through the door and everything, if I can make it. So that's what I wanted to do with this house. And I also maintained sort of the silhouette of it, but I made the roof a bit lower, or well, the roof angle a bit smaller. So that way it looks less pointy, what I should say. And of course, a garage connected to the house as well. I feel like that adds a bit of realism to it and makes it feel more suburban, I guess. And figuring out the layout of this house was a bit tricky because I knew that I didn't want to make it 2 stories. I wanted to make it pretty small. I wanted it to still be like a bungalow. So, mainly the master bedroom was a bit tricky to figure out. But that diagonal wall solution that you see now is the most elegant way I could make it, I think. It looks a bit different from what the rooms normally do, but yeah, that's something that I've been experimenting with a little bit in Strangetown. When you have these sort of landings or hallways, it's not always completely natural that you can place doors and seem to be able to walk back and forth. And making diagonal solutions like this one, for example, actually helps a lot with that, to be able to make the rooms accessible even if they are in a row, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what I went with here. And what with it being like a sort of cottage vibe for this still, of course I wanted to use the Renovations doors and windows. Something that you should keep in mind if you do download this building though is that I have a different mesh or master file for this set. It is a I don't know if I should call it a recolor or not, but it is clear glass instead of blue glass by Shasta. So that file, if you do have the original one with the blue glass, you have to remove that one if you do want the clear ones instead. And if you still want to have the blue windows, you should not add in the master file in my download, basically. Right, and that is what the house turned out like, and now we just have the garden left. And of course I want to frame it, as I normally do, with fencing and stuff to make it feel more like the whole garden is part of the build, and this is their lot and not just communal space, basically. And something that I did that I didn't think I would do is that I actually pretty much kept the I actually did keep the Maxis paneled walls on the outside of the house. The right side of it, of course. I wanted to have the sort of planks to the left on the walls going vertical instead, just because, when you do this trick with constrained floor elevation sheet and have that sort of diagonal wall piece that cuts off, if you use this kind of vertical wallpaper, it's not visible. But if it is just horizontal as normal, then it would look a little bit wonky. So it's a good trick to use that kind of wallpaper. Adding in a lot of like bushy plants that obscures the view also helps framing the lot, and again making it feel like it's all part of the same house. So it's clearly visible and also sort of obscures the view for the neighbors, so they can't stare straight into the house, that is. Actually, to the left is Randy's restaurant or catering business. And with it being a community lot, I felt like it was especially important to not have the guests see straight into the house. So that's why I put up those bushes and also the high fence around the whole lot. And this is what it turned out looking like. So all in all, it's pretty similar to how it was from the start, I think. But I really like how it turned out, and I think it will be a lot of fun to figure out who's gonna live in this house. And we're moving on to the next one, Tidy Tutor. So this is a house that I think that most people would naturally place down in Veronaville. And of course it can definitely fit in there after it's done for me as well. But I also modeled it after the Pleasant house a little bit to make it fit in more into Pleasantview. So even though I kept those sort of, what are those walls called? Sort of the white walls with wooden pieces on them above the brick. I kept that texture, but then I modernized it a bit. And one thing that I knew from the start, even before I started to rebuild this, was that that sort of bay window looking thing sticking out on the side of the house, I wanted to change that into a sunroom. So I started out doing it in the same shape like this, putting in this sort of roof pieces. And I also put in invisible flooring, both on the roof and the ceiling, so that it's weatherproof as well. But after I put down this, I just didn't feel like it looked that good, the way that I had envisioned it. So instead I went in with these cricket pieces that I got when I downloaded Feverview. And those worked out a lot better, but they weren't diagonal, so I had to shrink down the sunroom a little bit. But yeah, I think it turned out looking really cute like this. And I just feel like this kind of house looks really nice with a little sunroom like this. You can really see it being like a little breakfast room, or maybe someone who keeps plants even when it's winter. They have that little room out there. It's actually something that both of my grandparents actually, and also my parents had one of those rooms, and I think it's pretty common, at least at the countryside in Sweden, to have those kinds of sunrooms. I think it's really nice. And looking at the layout on the house as well, I actually pretty much kept how the rooms are laid out, just making small changes. One of the bigger changes that I made was that I removed the staircase and moved it one tile further towards the front door, because I just felt like the landing at the second floor was a bit too cramped, and I could just envision all of the routing errors. So yeah, I actually made it a little bit bigger, and then the entrance to the stairs is a bit closer to the entrance of the door, but I felt like that, I think that's also 2 tiles, so it didn't really make a big difference. And also there was a little sort of room before you got to the front door from the start, and I just didn't feel like that was necessary, so that's just the entrance immediately when you come in. And I also made this a little bit of a bigger back porch. I don't think that you can really put anything on it, but I felt like it looked better this way anyway than just one tile. So I also think it's gonna work a lot better routing wise. And this one, I felt like it looked more natural to have a separate garage building rather than connecting the two. And that's also something that I drew a bit of inspiration from the Pleasant house as well, because that's the way that house is laid out. And I figured out what brick to use here. Tried to go with a pretty dirty one to start, but that didn't really look nice, so it became one of the more cleaner ones I have. A black roof looked nice for this. And I don't think that color of garage door matches perfectly, but I think that was the one that looks the most nice with this house. And I managed to put in 2 smaller bedrooms and 1 big one, so I suppose this could be a house for some parents and 2 children or something like that. Or it could be like 1 child and a hobby room, I suppose. But I think it would be difficult to cram in a big family into this house, probably. It's got 2 bathrooms though, so that helps. Again, putting in these beautiful Rhenus doors and windows. I really think that they add such a nice cottagey flavor to the builds. And I even put in some brick inside of the house. That was actually something that was already there at the entrance. And I just felt like that brought a lot of character to this house. So it matched really well with those wooden panel walls as well. And of course my beloved Parsley Avenue wallpapers. So pretty. And again, we're starting on the garden part. And I'm keeping going with my framing in the house. And the side of this became a bit similar to the Burb house as well, I think. It's a bit of a combination. But that's what I mean with it actually making a difference what neighborhood you put the build down into when you are rebuilding it. It was so natural to me to just make it like this and draw from the similarities between other buildings. So this one has sort of a garden that's split up into 2 parts. They have the backyard that's completely fenced in with a wooden high fence, and then another more visible garden around the house to the right. And of course for the Pleasant house, the fenced in with like high wooden fences is where they have their pool. But I don't feel like this the family that would live here would be wealthy enough to have a pool, probably. I can really see someone loving gardening living here, actually. Someone like John Burb, I suppose. And yeah, having this sort of one tile little pieces of land is always a struggle to figure out how to put in something in the garden for, because it's so slim, and it easily also becomes like when you put something down there, a bush or something, the shrubbery bleeds through the walls. So it needs to be something that's pretty slim. So I ended up going with some really short trees that will just fit in really well there, I think. And yeah, this is also what this house turned out like. And again, I do think that it would fit in really well into Renovations as well as Pleasantview. Something that you have to keep in mind if you install this house is that I used a modular staircase that's open underneath. So if you want to use this, also install it by using the scriptorium. There's the scriptorium file in the downloaded folder, so just drop it into the correct scriptorium folder and you'll be fine. Right, and we are at the last house, the modern masterpiece. And I think that this could possibly be the first time I actually place this house down and take a proper look at it. I have seen it in the lot bin, of course, many times, but I had never actually just brought it down and tried to use it. And I have to confess that I had to sit and sort of stare at it and turn around the camera and look from different angles before I could even start with this, because it was a lot to take in, I should say. So one of the first things that I noticed was that this house was of course built just using the base game, and it was not weatherproof. At least I don't think so. So I ended up going with removing the roof pieces sticking up and then placing down actual walls, 4 tiles to the right and 2 tiles to the left, and then connecting it with a sloped roof for 3 tiles, and then also putting up a sloped roof at the top of the right wall piece. Wow, that was a mouthful, huh? But yeah, that actually makes it so that also when you play in the house, it doesn't become so wonky. It's a lot more comfortable to play with the house when you don't actually play within the roof, I feel like. So, and I could also screen off the different rooms better with this. So yeah, I felt like this was the way to go with it. And placing down windows into the sort of angled roof pieces also is a challenge, because the glass doesn't become see-through at once. So just using the angling tool and clicking on the roof is gonna solve that issue to make it see-through again. And yeah, this middle part also threw me off a bit, because yeah, I couldn't figure out how to put down a roof piece there and actually make it look good. So I ended up just going with putting down half walls and making it a rooftop balcony. And then there's this bathroom to the side of this room here, and I didn't want it to just be open space. So I put down a second roof tile above the other one, but having it ending 2 tiles before the other one, so it actually created another wall piece that screened off the bathroom as well. And I struggled a little bit with this staircase, where to place it. And yeah, the way that I put it down now, I actually am gonna change it again later. You're gonna see it when we do the last tour around the house. Because I recently created a house in Strangetown that was fairly similar to this in some ways. And I noticed that if they were walking through a too short sloped roof, that they wouldn't be able to route up and down the stairs. So I was actually afraid that same thing would happen in this house. So I ended up turning the staircase so that it's actually just, 1 or 2 tiles that they can walk on closest to the door, and not 3 tiles that it is right now. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to help with the routing a lot. And yeah, the middle room here became a little bit bigger than it was from the start. And I think that's gonna help a lot with furnishing this, because then we can have like a kitchen and possibly like a entrance room, or like I suppose bar area or something like that downstairs, and then upstairs can actually be a living room or something like that, to sort of make this downstairs more like the entertainment area, I suppose. Maybe. It'll be an interesting house to furnish for sure. And the bathroom was kind of sitting in the middle of everything from the start downstairs, so I moved it back 2 tiles and actually gave it a window as well, because I felt like, yeah, there was just no light coming into that room, and it made it feel very strange. So I changed that up. And yeah, I struggled a bit with what kind of walls to use, because from the start it was very special wooden walls, and they felt very, I don't know, 70s. So I was trying to make it feel more modern, but I didn't really have anything that was, perfect. So I tried with a bunch of different wooden walls. All of them gave a different feeling. But yeah, it just, nothing matched perfectly. When I got to this one, I thought that this was good enough. It was a sort of ashy color, and that made it look a lot more modern than before. But in the end, I just didn't like how wobbly it was. So then I just took one of these ones that's very, straight lines, and again an ashy but light color this time. And this was the best one I could find. So I think that this is gonna work for this one. Possibly that I'm gonna recolor the insides when I start playing with it, I'm not sure, but it could stay like this as well. The house from the start was sort of the same color all around after all, so. And again, actually I put in the Rhenus doors into this one, but these ones are actually doors that slide into the wall back and forth, rather than bending outwards or inwards when the Sims walk through them. So that's gonna give a bit more of a modern feel, I think, when playing in this house. And then I'm starting on the garden, and of course with this being a very, again, I keep repeating it, but a modern house, I felt like the garden should be very structured, and a lot of symmetry, and yeah, I felt like it shouldn't be like cozy, it should be very designed, if that makes sense. So I split it up again into different sections to make it a little bit easier for myself to figure out how to furnish it. And of course, there's driveways for cars here, but I actually didn't put in any garage this time. So the cars are gonna park outside for this house. And the entire backyard is fenced in with this white wooden fence. And one thing that I knew that I wanted to put in was a huge pool at the back of the house. Because it just felt like, yeah, it matched so well with this house that there had to be a pool, And to make the pool look a little bit nicer, I put in some pool edges as well, to get rid of that sort of brown outline that it usually has. And with it also being framed in with these high fences, I feel like the family that lives here is going to have some privacy as well. So that's nice. And then at the front, I put in some sort of grayish gravel. And I decided to not put in flowers here. I put in some bushes and stuff, but instead of flowers at the front of the house, I'm going to put in rocks instead. Like a rock garden, you could say. It's gonna look a lot more structured and designed again. So that's I can't remember if I've ever done that before, but it gave the house a very special silhouette, and looks very different from houses normally. how they look in Pleasantview, but somehow it fit together anyway. I actually put this house down by the water, so it's gonna have an ocean view, but it's gonna be a bit separated from the older houses, so it definitely looks like it could be very recently built by some sort of designer who had a vision, you know. And this is actually gonna be the most flowery part of the garden, with some flowers at the ground and some hydrangea bushes and stuff, a cherry tree. But besides that, I just put in some huge trees that could again obscure the view. And yeah, that's pretty much how the garden turned out. So it's a lot of just grassy lawn at the back, but yeah, I feel like that suited this house very well. And this is the end product, and this is when you're also gonna see the way that I handled the staircase as well up to the rooftop balcony. So you see that there's just 2 tiles there instead, and I think that that's gonna work a lot better for the routing. So I hope that you enjoy these renovations, and yeah, don't forget to download them if you do want them, and if you do use them, I would love to see pictures of how you end up furnishing them. So thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for requesting another one of these. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Take care. Bye.